Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar event. My name is Joshua. I'm going to be your presenter today. Welcome to everyone. 24.22.1. We are on here. I want to point out at the opening homepage here of our Church Windows screen, it says 24.22.1. Please, 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 folks, make sure that you're on that patched version before you run your W-2s. Or print any of your tax forms. There's just some fixes for some problems in that 24.22.1 update. If you're unable to find it, either please email us to support@churchwindows.com with your customer number with a specific request for the email, or call us 800-533-5227. We have sent that to all of our on-support customers, but if you're, it got blocked in spam or something, or you didn't see it or didn't find it, it's available. You just can't download it from the website. It's a password protected file. But please reach out to us. It is so important to get that. There are lots of bug fixes and problem fixes in that SR1 that are very important to get installed, certainly before printing your tax documentation. Okay? Really, really important on that. I can't stress that enough. Let's dive into the document here. Okay? First of all, everyone should be using the new payroll here at our home screen. It's in Church Windows 24.22.1. There is no separate payroll separate anymore for Church Windows. It's all in the main home screen for Church Windows now. We're not updating the old version. We're not supporting it. There's no tax forms for 2022 or tax files for tax tables for 2023 in the old payroll, so don't even try, okay? It's all in the new version. Okay, can't stress that enough. It's all right here. And if you're having trouble with conversion or update, please check out the Resource Center page. We are trying to reach all of our customers who have placed support call requests to us, but we are terribly backed up right now, and we're trying our best. And we can, all of our techs, myself included, can only reach one person at a time, okay? This is kind of the closest that we have to a kind of a mass support call here that we're hoping we're going to be able to get a lot of your questions answered and a lot of, concerns laid to rest here with regards to that, okay? On the document, if we now steer our focus to the first page on that, basically whether you're paper filing or e-filing through Aatrix, everything is going to be done through the third-party company that is interfaced with Church Windows now called Aatrix, okay? This document and this webinar are going to instruct you how to go through the Aatrix update or Aatrix tax report, or in this case, W-2 generation process, okay? The first line, second line there at the top says, before you begin the tax filing process, go to administration, sysinfo right here, and make sure that your tax ID information here is entered properly, okay? Certainly for federal. But I'm going to leave the state blank because I want to show you how you can edit that during the process if need be. But you definitely want to come in here, even if it's blank, and enter this information for both federal and state tax IDs with your state if applicable. Okay, there's a reason why I'm leaving that there. Okay. And when we get into payroll here, we're going to look at how to access that. It's bold there in there about desktop users versus cloud users. All right. When you go in and you launch into payroll and you go into reports and export here, tax reports, and click tax forms, most likely you're going to get this prompt about updater. Do you want to allow the app to make changes to your device? If you're a desktop user, please click yes to that. If you're a cloud user, don't choose automatic update, choose continue expired. We are ensuring that our cloud customers have the most recent Aatrix forms and what have you every day. So if you choose automatic updates, it creates problems. So please, if you get that box that's at the bottom left that says forms update, automatic update, download update, continue expired, or cancel. In the cloud, please click continue expired. All right. If you don't, and if it pops up with that other one to the right that says, do you want to allow the app to make changes? It's asking you for a admin username and password. You've got to click no on that, okay? If you're a local or desktop user, you can choose automatic updates and, of course, click yes to the update prompt. One's going to appear first. It's going to be the updater versus, and then the other one with the automatic updates, download updates, and continue, expired, cancel will show up. Okay, so on desktop users, again, we are stressing this so much because if cloud users don't make the correct selection here, you're not only creating problems for you, but for other potential cloud users as well, okay? So please make sure you're responding accordingly. If you are getting a message when you try to click on tax forms that comes up here, and it's going to pop up here, it's going to work as it should for me because, well, because I've got it, I've answered the appropriate questions previously, okay? But if you get a window that pops up and says, entry point not found, folks, you've got to run the, from the Resource Center page, you must run this further down the page here, this error running tax reports entry point not found, okay? For if you're a local or desktop user only, and you're getting that entry point not found, you need to run this script. I mean, not a script, it's an installer, okay? If Church Windows is networked, this Aatrix installer patch needs to be run on your server and all of your workstations. It should only need to be run once, but if you're getting that message and you're networked, run it on all machines, server and workstations. And if you're just installed on one computer, just run it there. If you've got 2422.1, you've got to run this, okay? There's some missing DLL files that are in this that if you don't install it, you're not going to be able to produce W-2s, okay? Or tax documents in general. You cannot get to that. So you must run this if you're a local or cloud user and you're on 2422.1, okay? Again, cloud users, Church Windows web users, please choose continue expired and no when asked for the administrative logon password and username and password, okay? We're going to probably be back here to the Resource Center page, so I'm just going to leave that there, and then we'll come back to that here later as needed. So we're on to now page 2, that when this updater can sometimes take a minute or 2 minutes, depending on your internet speed of your computer. When it's done, you might try to run this and it'll pop up and say, hey, an instance of the application is already running. If so, it's just not terribly fast, and you're just going to have to be patient until it updates, okay? When it's run correctly, then you're going to see a bunch of the 2022 forms here when we're choosing the year for 2022, okay? So if you're only seeing like 3 or 4 and then a bunch of other ones that aren't year specific, then the forms for the year, they're not updated properly, and you just have to be patient. Folks, I've seen this take 2 minutes. I've seen it take 5. I've seen it take 7. It really depends on your computer, the speed of your internet connection. There's all kinds of components. But eventually, if it's being updated and installed correctly, your list will look like the one we have here, okay? So again, make sure you're choosing your year, in this case, 2022. We've got all our forms. We're going to go down and choose W2, W3. Reporting period, any is fine, okay? And then we're going to simply click print, okay? Now, this is the message that pops up here that most oftentimes kind of throws folks. If you don't have local taxes, folks, you'll have to bear with us while we go through this, okay? If you do have local taxes, you want to pay attention, okay? We've got documentation out on the website about this as well. It is simply not going to allow us to continue to process the W-2s until we fix this. So how we fix it is, and it might point to something other than local tax. It could point to miscellaneous tax as well. It's unlikely you have miscellaneous taxes in the new payroll yet. You might, but if it is, you know where to go to fix it. So we click OK, we close out, we go right up here to payroll data setup in the upper left, right across the top to the cute little trees button at the top, local tax, and we click on that, and it brings up all of our local taxes that we have set up, that we're using in our database, okay? So you have to check this on all of them. All right, I know which one of these particular local taxes is the culprit problem, but you have to go down, and it's the one called Reynoldsburg SD. But if I highlight that and click edit, we notice here on the far right next to the state, the one that says tax is blank. That is what it's barking at you about. Okay, so I have to click in here and type in Reynoldsburg, and there it is. I'll choose Reynoldsburg, CSD 2509, click Finish. It is a school district tax. That's fixed. But if you have multiple local taxes, folks, you've got to check them all. Notice here, I've got one for this one. Cincinnati's good. Okay, I can go to the next one, Columbus. Click Edit, make sure that tax is populated. Very, very important. Okay, now when I go back to my reports and export, tax reports and tax forms, and it's going to pop up here with my forms. I choose W-2s, 22, click Print. It now should no longer bark at me about that. Okay, it is now processing into the next step of the W-2 generation. I've already been working on things, folks, here, so you may not get this if you're doing this for the first time. I'm going to click No to continuing my work in progress because I want to start over again. So what it's prompting me, now folks, we're in Aatrix here, all right? They are, the reason why we are using this is they have error and conflict checking that we simply do not, all right? So it's detecting that there's a company information change on this, and it's saying changes in the company information, to check the box for the changes you want to apply. I have no reason to doubt what they're telling me, so we're going to basically just click OK through that. All right. That was basically telling me, I think, that it was just the local tax has now been changed from a value of no to yes. So I'm going to click OK through that. Okay. It's not going to tell me. It'll tell me if something's wrong. So now we're on to the next page here at the top of page 3 that shows our W-2 setup wizard. All right. So here it's saying, you know, I want to test drive. There's a lot of folks that think this is, you know, that they have to choose test drive. You do not. If you are wanting to try to go in and process your W-2s and the W-3 and get those prepared right now, go ahead and choose no thanks, start processing W-2s, W-3s. Okay. There's no need to test drive it at all. So when we go to next, again, it's going to now open up and verify our EIN number. And again, it can be fixed or corrected here if applicable, but it's right. So we're not going to change anything on that. We're simply going to click next. Now it's opening up our, please read carefully, multiple payroll data files. So in this case, we're going to be choosing no for this. But if you have multiple databases, say in 2 different installations of Church Windows, you know, you've got church employees in one installation of payroll, and you've got like say daycare or preschool employees that you're paying in another, say for example, that's just a common example. You can say, yes, I use multiple payroll data files for this EIN, and it'll allow you to merge those down so you're only producing one set of W-2s and one W-3 for submission or filing to the federal government. Okay, that's really important. And it's true for W-1099s as well. The government really frowns on it when you issue 2 W-2s or 2 1099s with the same tax ID number to 2 different employees or contractors, as the case may be. Okay, so this is, again, Aatrix assists with this. All right, this is not Church Windows. This is all Aatrix. All right, you have to trust that this is the reason why we've implemented this in the new version in the software. All right, now we're not going to cover, we don't have time to cover importing from 2 different Church Windows databases today on this, but it does work, okay? And we are getting documentation out there that's going to help you with that. And of course, we will try our best to call you to help with that as well, okay? But for the purposes of our webinar, we're going to use one single payroll data file for EIN. That's what we're choosing under the document there on page 3, and we're simply going to click next. Okay. Now here it's asking us for company information. You know, I can certainly put in my name down here if I want. You know, I could put in my title if I want, you know, admin, you know, put in my email number, email address. I can put in my phone number if I want, your choice. And simply once I have that information, even with my contact address if I wish, and simply click next. Okay, and now we're up to page 4 here that's talking about which type of filer are you? Most of you are going to be choosing I am filing for my company employer. Unless you're a third-party, tax preparer, you can choose that. Again, folks, this is really follow the bouncing ball, as the case may be. But for the purposes of our webinar, again, we're going to do just I'm filing for my company employer, okay? And we go to next, okay? Now, here is where it's confirming state and local tax items. And many of you are probably going, well, yeah, we need this information on here. Well, this is, remember when I did at the very beginning, I went into the admin and sysinfo and the tax ID for my state wasn't there. This is what happens when you don't have that entered. Now, no fret, don't worry, it's okay, we can fix it here. So if I click on that, now notice to the right, I've now got an edit button, okay? So I can click on that, it opens this up and it allows me to key this in, all right? Now this isn't entering it in Church Windows per se, it is only entering it in Aatrix for the purpose of me to complete my W-2 processing, okay? I still have to go back into the system info and populate that information later when I'm done. When I'm ready, I click OK. Notice the red now goes away. It has brought in all of my local tax items as I have entered, okay? And I'm ready now to click Next. If, again, I need to add one, I can add one right here. You have full control, folks, and you're going to be, I think, pleasantly surprised to see later on about how much additional level of control you have here later on as well, okay? So when we're ready, we click Next. It's now asking us here, and this is a really, really, really important step here. Okay, so it says right here, everybody knows the answer to this. Do you have employees who are members of the clergy? Of course, we populate that. We're populating that with yes, or Aatrix is, because we're a church management software company. The logic is you're paying at least one minister or one clergy person, in your payroll. If you don't, then you would say no. But the one that folks most commonly overlook is this one up here. You have to choose one of them. Do you have employees who are exempt from any part of Medicare, Social Security taxes? And if you click no to that, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do here later on. So we've got to click yes on that. Ministers are qualify in that case. So we have to choose yes for both of those. And then do you want a control number for W-2s? You can say no, and unless you want, and you're doing it for multiple churches or companies, as the case may be. And do you have any employees that are received W-2s electronically? Most likely you're going to say no. We're going to click next. Finally, it's asking if you indicated that employees are not subject to Medicare, Social Security. Do you have any employees that are tribal council? Again, 99.9% of you are going to say no. Next. Okay. And now here's our control number. If you're wanting to do it, you can. It defaults to payer type, which is in this case 941. You're a church. If you're a third party, you have third-party sick pay information, you can check that and enter the actual income tax withheld for that and the other established number and other EIN if applicable. Okay, but we don't have any, so we're going to uncheck that and click Next. Okay. Now it's asking us for how do we want to display the employee's Social Security information on the W-2s. So if you want no truncation, we can choose that. And probably for the government copies, that might be something you need. Well, I don't know how to answer that. That's a good question. It's all of the information, at least even with the last four, has got to check out between what your W-2s show that you send in and what the employees are filing. So I think probably truncation is probably okay. And you can choose either asterisks for truncation or X's. I kind of like the asterisks better myself. Okay. Now we click Next. Now it's actually opening up the W-2s themselves. This is our spreadsheet. This is what it's displaying for us at the bottom of page, I forget what page we're on, folks, sorry, 5. Okay. This is the spreadsheet, and what you're working with exclusively across the top here now is this Next Step button. And as you continue to click Next Step, it is going to move across and double check the information. So notice it's already detecting a problem with some of our W-2s. Notice the little red button, on the select box on the far left there. First of all, it's saying zip code cannot be blank, must be numeric, and must be formatted with, whatever the required format is. Also, it's detecting we've got a duplicate social security number that we have to deal with. All right. So here we now have to choose go back and correct. So here now, first of all, notice here the social security number for John Thomas does show the zip code plus another 0 with a dash and or hyphen and a 0. We got to fix that. So notice, folks, I can fix that right here. So I don't have to cancel out of it, go back into their employee file and change that. I can do it right here. Yes, I do want to go back into their employee file and fix that so I don't have to keep continuing to do this each time. Okay? But for the purpose of this, I do not have to cancel my process. I can simply click in there and take that out. Notice now it's down to just what a standard zip code would look like. If I try clicking next step again, it's going to bark at me one more time. So here it's saying duplicate social security numbers. So in this case, I'm going to go back and correct. Now you're going to love this here. So what this does is I've got 2 John Does, 2 different addresses, same social security number. Why? For whatever reason, many folks think they have to do this in order to be able to pay employees for, say, multiple job functions. Or maybe John Doe, I set him up with he moved and I set him up with a new employee file or something by mistake. Okay? Whatever the reason, as long as the information here matches regarding social security number, all name fields, and address information, it will allow us to combine this. So I'm going to fix this right here, okay? Because at some point, I'm going to go back into there and I'm going to stop using John A. Doe, and I'm going to just use the one labeled John. But I'm going to fix this right here. So I'm going to take out the A, and I'm going to edit his address right here to say 4567 Main Street. This has to match, folks, to the character exactly if we want this to work. All right. So I've now edited that. We're going to try clicking next step. It says duplicate employees are not allowed. Select yes to merge the duplicate records automatically. Select no to manually correct these records. I could go in and edit all of the amounts and the box numbers and the wages and everything else and remove them. But why? Why? When the Aatrix software will do it for us. So we're just going to merge them right here. So we're going to click yes. And looky there. It's down to 1. If I want to go back, and looky there, I've only got 1 for John Doe now with all the correct totals listed here. Pretty great, right? So I now click next. Again, it's just moving across the spreadsheet left to right, doing exactly what I'm wanting it to do. All right? So here we go next. Again, it's error checking for you right now. And it's not finding anything. Otherwise, it'll tell me until now. So here is where it's saying box 3, Social Security wages, box 7 cannot be 0. 2 warnings found. Notice it gives us an option that says continue without correcting. These are my 2 pastors. If we had checked no on that previous window that asked if you had employees that were exempt from Social Security, not the one above the clergy box, not have the option to continue without correcting. It is because we made that selection of yes that this allows us to do continue without correcting. Okay? So we're going to say continue without correcting. Now I'm going to go to next step again. Again, same thing. It's giving me similar type warnings. I'm going to do continue without correcting. This state is correct. Any individual who receives income from a resident of a taxing school district subject to see there, it's basically just warning me that there might be some issue here, but this is the correct state, so we're good. So we're going to continue to correct, and now I'm going to click next step one more time. Continue without correcting. Now it's asking me about Aatrix, and this is one that folks get really concerned about. Is they like, oh, I don't want to e-file with Aatrix. Okay, you don't have to. If you wish, you can. I mean, even at $1.99, it's not that expensive per se. But we just go ahead and click next through this. Okay, here is now when it's bringing up our options here that we're seeing in the middle of page, I think we're on page 6 here. Sorry, folks, page 6. Where you can do their complete W2 e-filing, but we're not going to. We're going to go right down here to other options, And here we can choose print employee W-2s. Again, it wants to e-file for us, but we can just uncheck those. I can also print my W-2s and W-3s, my official copy for my government copies, okay? And if you want to do your state, you can also do that too, if you wish. Your choice. Maybe state is not applicable for some of you. It's just a matter of what is it going to then open up next and allow me to print. Just a friendly reminder, we're going to talk more about this here in just a couple minutes, is, folks, the only forms that you're required to order or purchase are government forms for 1099s and 1096s. Otherwise, all W-2s, all W-3s for both those that you're submitting or sending into the government or distributing to your contractors can all be printed to plain paper. Again, only forms you need to purchase now that we're using Aatrix or order are 1099s and 1096s for the government only. Okay? We're going to leave this as these right here right now for the purposes of our webinar, and we're going to click Next. We're going to go ahead and Benefit is basically trying to pitch you e-filing with them. It's still affordable, folks, but we're not going to check this. We're going to just simply click Next. It's now doing a review data of what it is that I'm doing. All it does is print a report that just shows this information on it. I'm not doing that. And we click Next. Now it's physically opening the forms. Okay? First that comes up is the employee's W-2s. See, John Doe, John Doe, John Doe, John Doe. I've got 10 pages for each one of my employees. All right? So if I go to the next arrow at the top, it goes to my next employee. Who is that? Larry? Yeah, my senior pastor, Larry Higgins, right here. Okay, next employee, Jimmy Hilliard. 4 up, essentially. Again, all can be printed to plain paper. Can't stress this enough. The documents, only documents you need are 1099s and 1096s for 1096 for the government forms of the 1099s. For those distributing to contractors, again, can be printed to plain paper. W-2s, W-3s that can be sent in to the government, we're not at that. This is just the employee copy at this point, okay? And I'm going to go to Print Final. So it now says, please insert the 4-part perforated W-2s. And I want to point this out here it is the copy B here, but it does say right here in the bottom, it's kind of hard to see. So I would click OK through that. I don't have a printer here, folks, sorry. But it opens up my printer and allows me to choose my printer where I'm sending it. But then if I click OK through that, it's going to physically send it to my printer. But I want you to notice it's kind of hard to see in the middle there. Right below the kind of bold W/2, you see their federal tax return. It says Aatrix. Aatrix has special permissions to do things, has permissions to be able to submit these on plain paper, okay? As long as it says Aatrix on it right there, this is completely acceptable, all right? So if I did and I was ready and had plain paper in my printer, or you have the documents, you would just click OK through that, and it would physically send them to your printer, all right? Yes, folks, some states do require electronic filing. If you do have that, if your state requires that, you can choose to e-file with your state through Aatrix as well. All right. I was asked to kind of reiterate that. So we're going to click cancel on this. We're going to assume we've sent that to our printer. We've grabbed them. They're presentable. They're good. Okay. All 10 of them. We're going to cancel. Now I would simply, it takes me back to where I was. So if I grab them off the printer and they're wrong, I can just do print final again. But we're going to assume they did print okay. And then I would click next step. Now it's opening up report 2 of 5. The employer W-2. Again, says Aatrix in the center, revised 5/27/22. Same thing. I would click print final when I'm wanting to send that to my printer. If I go here, again, what this is now, this is each one of my employees are listed in each one of the corners. Again, when I'm ready, I would click print final. It does allow me to use the perforated, 4-up forms if I want. And I would simply click OK on that. And if I do, it's going to throw up my error here because I don't have a valid printer. Sorry, folks. But again, opens up my printer driver. And I would simply click OK or print. physically send them to the printer. Grab them off the printer. See how they look. All right? And if they're good, you just click cancel. It takes you back to the same form. If you look at them and go, oh, I didn't do that, I should have done, just go to print final again, folks. Don't overthink it. There are steps here. We get this, but you can always go back to the edge and start over again if you absolutely have to. So when I'm ready and I've got these printed, I'm going to go to next step. The process kind of continues ad nauseum until I've printed what I need. Here are the report 3 here of the federal W-2s, all right, that you, again, can print these to plain paper, but if you have the actual 2 old-fashioned standard IRS format, these should align right on, and you should be able to print these. But notice it's printing them not with the, it's printing the lines and everything on it. This is why you don't even need the forms. You can print this. I'm not aware of a way to print them without the lines, to be perfectly honest, folks. I'm not gonna mislead you on that, okay? I don't have a way to print these without the lines and just the information. I don't think Aatrix gives you that choice. Again, says Aatrix in the upper right. Print final. We can put the W-2 copy cannot be printed perforated paper. Insert plain paper now. See, it's even telling us. It doesn't even accept the perforated paper. You have to print them to plain paper. Same thing, click OK. It's going to give me my error, dumb error. Click OK, and it opens up my printer, ready for it to send it to my printer. Okay? I would click OK and send them to my printer, grab them off the printer, make sure they're printed correctly, click Cancel. When I'm ready, next step. If you just slow down on this, folks, this begins to make sense. Here's my W-3. Again, there's not a no lines option on this. It's all Aatrix, can be printed to plain paper with those instructions if applicable. Print final, again, sorry, that's me. It's just, yours is going to open up your printer driver, folks. I'm just on a remote machine without a printer driver. So here I would send it to my printer, again, cancel, next step. And I think the final one here is my instructions, I think. Yeah. So I would print these, and then I could distribute these with my employees' copy to my employees themselves. All right? So if I go to next step, it says, would I like to print the notice? Yes. Here's my printer error. Physically opens up my printer. Click OK to send it to my printer. All right? So here it is. It's now done this. Now, if you did do the state option, that's on that second to last page there. Oh, I didn't check that. That was my fault. It'll pop up with this message about given the impact of COVID-19 to state, several states have asked taxpayers to submit theirs electronically to eliminate likely delays in processing paper time. That is where you may want to go ahead and do the filing with Aatrix, even though there's an expense. If your state doesn't require that, you don't have to. But what it's asking me here now is, if you've already completed your W-2, US W-2 filings, please review what you've completed and select what actions you would like to take. So I can come in and reprint them if I wish. I can e-file. I can correct. I can start over. Okay, so if I wanted to go back in and maybe redo that and try to be able to select to do those state, I can probably do the reprint and click next. So right here, let's see here. Does it give us an option for that? All federal? Yeah. So right here, I could check reprint all displayed. Is it allowing me to choose state? Maybe it's not on that. Sorry, folks. I was learning something new about it today. So it will allow us to do reprint selected employees or sorted by locality. I'd have to probably start over to be able to do my state copies on that. Oh, wait, hang on. There it is. Wait, no, is it? Is it reprint? No, it's not. Okay, so I'd have to start over to be able to do the state again. Not a problem. I can just go back in and choose to do the state if I do it again. You know, when I go through the process one more time, it'll just allow me to go in and I can choose state. I don't have to reprint federal again or for my employees if I don't wish. Full control. I want to make sure that everyone is understanding that you have full control over how things are printed and done here with regards to producing these documents. All right. So if I close, I can just close. It's now then saved it here under my history here for us to revisit. Okay. Let me review the things here on this final step here. Note, Aatrix has permission, and then this is re-verifying what I've stated, folks, here before during the event here is Aatrix has permission from the SSA to submit black and white copies of, says W3, but you want your, copies of the W2s for that so they can verify that. That's how they verify it, okay? That what is being submitted and filed by the employee matches what is being submitted and filed by the employer. So when you're doing the government copy of the W2s and W3s, you can submit both of them. So the final screen allows you to reprint, e-file, correct your W2s, or start over completely if needed. I believe if I did go back in there under history, let me see if I can bring up here, or it might even allow me to do if I were to do that. I just want to show the history for you so you can see what that looks like. So right here, it shows the date, 1/25, at 12:35 p.m. I can check that and I can do view or print. I think it'll actually do that even if I'm back at the original form here and I choose W2s, W3s, it'll click print and it should reopen up, I think, the same box or allow me to be able to pick up where I left off or, continue where I did it. I think it opens up the window where I did. Sorry, I'm just doing this so you see how this, so see it picks up right here where I did. So I can choose reprint and let's see what it brings us. That's not what I did. If I did it, I think I would have to do start over again to be able to do that. I'm sorry, I don't want to make, I don't want to kind of break this and start over again, folks. But if I needed to, you could. You've seen all the information is in there. It's literally next, 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 next. And then you could choose, state, print state, and go ahead and process your state W-2s if applicable. I've been asked to make the announcement and apologize that we no longer have the W-2 text file that you can upload to the Social Security Administration. We've heard about that, folks. We apologize. But yeah, we don't have that option in the new payroll that you can do the e-file for the Social Security Administration as it was in the old payroll software. Okay? Again, we apologize. All right. Let's close out of this. There's a couple of other things I want to go over here. I'm sure questions are probably coming in kind of hard and fast here. So I want to talk about a couple of other things. Many of you have group term life taxes you have to deal with, okay? You have that option. You had the option in the old payroll. You have it in the current one here too. So right here under payroll and group term life. So right here, I can just change my date. This would be the imputed income from group term life insurance that needs to be reported on the employee's W-2 form. Right here, I change it back to 12/31/2022. I choose the pay label that I wanted to report under. That would be typically if I wanted to transfer it into accounting, and this would only really be applicable if there were taxes involved. So it's unlikely that this would, but I can choose any one of my pay labels that I have, regular, additional, overtime. I'll do irregular. Go to next. I choose specific employee for the employee that I want. Let's say Larry, who is our senior pastor. And then we go to next. And it checks him. And over here to the right, I put in the amount of imputed income that I need to report from the insurance company for what was income that was reported on that policy that needs to go on his W-2. Put in that amount, go to next. Do I want to print the report? I can. But if I go to browse, notice down here in the bottom left, I've got gross taxable. It's adding $123.45 into both his federal and state wages on the W-2 systematically. There's no check that's being created here. It's just correcting it. It's even going into their local gross taxable wages as well. That looks perfect to me. It's exactly what it should be. I can print the reports if I wish. Now when I go to next, I click finish. I've now put that on there. The one caveat to this, folks, is that there is an issue in SR1 that it is doubling up that amount. So if we go right here, it's saying, where is it? Group term life box is doubling. This is a document out here that we put out here that details how you can deal with that. But basically all it is going in back into the deduction or the allowances file. So if I go to data setup and I go into either deductions or allowances, I'm going to go to the deduction. And right here it says group term life deduction. All I have to do is change the W-2 box to none and then click OK. and that corrects that on the W-2. All right? Again, look on the Resource Center page. If we're not able to get back to you for information, most likely if it's something that's impacting a lot of our customers and users, that we've most likely got something else out on the Resource Center page about that. Okay? Easy, though, to get that group term life imputed income on the W-2s for them. Also, some of you may be needing to calculate in a payroll adjustment to fix something on the W-2 for an employee. So if we go back up to payroll, as you had in the old software, there's the calculate adjustment function. It allows you to make a correction to an employee's file without generating a check. So if I click on calculate adjustment here, pops up and it says checks are not created when calculating adjustments. When calculating an adjustment, if I want to create a check, the only way I can do that is by going into calculate payroll. Okay, I got it. So here now it's asking me what date do I want my adjustment for. So this would be for 2022. So same thing, I'm going to backdate this into 2022. Maybe I didn't have my housing allowance set up properly initially for the beginning of 2022 for one pay period, and I need to adjust the wages and correct the amount on the W-2 for the housing allowance. So here it is. I'm going to go to next. Again, you can do adjustment for third-party sick pay here too. If I go to next, I'm going to specific employee, uncheck all. I'm choosing Larry Higgins. Go to next. Here's the thing about the adjustments, folks. And we're going to do one on the adjustments, once we kind of get past January here in more thorough detail, is everything here is blank. Okay? Everything. It doesn't know what you want to adjust. You need to tell it. So this is this way in the old payroll too. So right here, let's say I needed to reduce his regular taxable earnings by $750 if that's what his housing allowance was. I'm putting in a minus 750 here, and I'm going to go into allowances, and I'm going to put in under housing a positive 750. Okay? So what I'm saying is I'm taking out 750 out of regular wages, and I'm putting it into his non-taxable housing allowance. Now I go to next. Now when I go to browse payments, notice it's reducing my federal taxable wages, my state taxable wages by $750. That's exactly what I'm wanting to do. It's automatically fixing my W-2 for me regarding boxes 1 and, in this case, 16 for state. Okay, minister's not subject to Social Security, Medicare taxes, or income. Therefore, it's not in play. Click OK. Again, I can check transfer to accounting if I think it does. In this case, this doesn't need to. I'm just fixing the W-2s. I mean, I could have already, I might. It could be if the expense account is different for my housing allowance than it is for my gross pay, that could be needed to be transferred in there. It might. But I could have also posted an adjustment between the expense accounts in accounting as well. We're not going to transfer that. We're going to click next and finish. All right, let me take a look here and see what we've got. Again, 1099s and 1096 for the government copy is the only form you need. Everything else can be printed on plain paper and filed. Now, state, I don't know that that's true, okay? But for federal forms, that's absolutely so, okay? Again, you'll want to contact your local taxing authority or Department of Revenue if you're unsure. We've walked through how to merge those two employees together if you happen to have two employees. Again, folks, I would want to go back into here under my employee contractor file, and I forget which employee it was, but I'd want to go to, say, their address information, whoever it was, and I would want to edit that zip code so it took off that -0 there if it didn't have the complete +4. Also for my employee, for John Doe, just to ensure that everything, I would certainly want to archive one if I was no longer using them. So here, let's say the John A. Doe was the one. I would want to come in here and archive that. And it'll say, yes, are you sure? Then I'm only using the one for John Doe, not the one John A. Okay? So again, just FYI, you can come in here and you can set up multiple pay labels for one employee and link them to different expense accounts, folks. So don't have two employees with the same Social Security number, albeit it's very simple to fix it, as we clearly saw during the event today. All right. If you have multiple databases, then we're going to need you to call us on this. Okay. We don't have time to cover this in today's event. So let me take a quick look through my document, folks, here, and let's make sure I didn't miss something here on this. Looks like I got the things pretty thoroughly on this. The final thing that I can tell and share with you as a technician, folks, is, you know, this stuff is, it's data, it's information. You manipulate it to your will, okay? It doesn't control you, you control it, okay? If you make a mistake, cancel out of it, start over. Start at the edge. Go right back to the beginning. Start it again, okay? We did learn today that there is a limit of 10 prints for your W-2s for any given particular payroll period. So you do want to be cautious about that. There is a way to fix it and get that to start over, but you would have to contact technical support for us in order to be able to do that. So just try to be able to do it right the first 2 or 3 times if you can. Just be aware if you're getting up to 10 that it could present problems for you for 10 prints, but you can do that. All right. I'm hoping that folks, Pam, Rachel, Marla, are getting to all of your questions answered here. They've been kind of feeding me questions here and things that I kind of need to reiterate. So I'm hoping they're going to pop something in there if there is something that I need to revisit. One of the things, folks, that we're going to ask that you do for us today is if you're feeling more confident with regards to your tax reporting and documentation with us today, that you put in the chat portion of the Demio control panel your Church Windows customer number if you have that, and the word done. What we're really trying to do is to be able to clear out some of our support calls. We want to try to be able to get back to everyone, but we're just insanely busy right now, and there's just only so many texts and so many calls. So if you feel like your questions have been answered, we would really appreciate you, again, putting in your customer number in the chat. So Rachel, Pam, or Marla can, and the word, I'm sorry, not done, good. Marla asked me to change that. Put the word good. If you say done, we're going to understand what you mean. Please put the word good. Good. That lets us know that you're okay with what you've learned on this, and if you have questions, you're certainly going to be willing to reach out to us again. But what we'll do is we'll go into our support system and we'll close that ticket on your W-2s. Again, folks, the video for this will be out on our Resource Center page here before 5 p.m. Eastern Time today, and for you to revisit. We really hope that you have found the event helpful, and we really appreciate your patience while we've all been working through this challenging time. We know that this is been a challenge for you, and we really appreciate you sticking with us through this. But we hope that you're also starting to see some of the advantages that the new software, not just Payroll, but the Aatrix interface is offering. It's really a step forward. I know it's been hard to see at this point, but it really is. Okay? All right, well, that's where I'm going to leave this today. I'm going to wait and see if I'm going to take a quick slug of water here. I've been talking for 50 minutes, so. Okay, I'm not seeing anything entered here. I'm not going to kind of leave just here with just dead air. Folks, again, I'm going to go back to the Resource Center page. We're putting everything we can out here to assist with you with anything that we're seeing out there. We can possibly help relieve some stress and pressure on our support system right now. We're putting out here under the Resource Center page. Okay? Again, cloud users only. Errors generating tax forms. If you're a cloud user, any of your users, doesn't matter whether you're cloud, desktop, local, network, it doesn't matter. Check the Resource Center page. There is most likely going to be something out here that is going to assist you with regards to, check designer help. Let me look here. Installation interrupted, conversion, error with a letter such as E or A. There's nothing we haven't seen here, folks. Okay. So check the Resource Center page because, while I wish I could say to you, if you called me tomorrow, that I would be able to get back to you on Friday, I'm sorry, that is just not going to be the case. It would be sometime probably next week before myself or any one of my technicians could get back to you. Okay. Again, if you feel good about what you've learned here today and you feel confident about your W-2s, 1099s, please enter your customer number in the chat and the word good. To let us know that we can take you out of our support call system, and maybe we can try to get back to a little sense of normalcy here, or at least get close to it a little bit. We really appreciate you working with us on this, folks. It makes us being able to get back to kind of a normal a support processing time for folks better, easier for you, better you to get back to normal. Unfortunately, folks, we don't have the time to hold hands for folks this year, unfortunately. We don't like to admit that, but that's really the reality and the truth. So we're kind of asking you to kind of learn some of it yourself with the information we're making available. So, okay. All right. So I'm being told that questions have been answered and that we've kind of got some stuff cleared up. We really appreciate everybody attending today. We hope the event's been helpful. I will go ahead and end the webinar for everybody today, and I hope that we will see everyone at another future Church Windows webinar event. All right. Thank you all. Take care. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.